A sitting president takes the stage at a community college in suburban New York. 2 days later, the country is still arguing about what actually happened in that room. Not because of a policy announcement, not because of a gaffe, but because of what the speech said about the state of the Republican coalition heading into a midterm year, and the way one Fox News host pushed back on her own network with the latest polling in hand. In this report, we'll walk through what was said at the Rockland County rally on May 22nd, how it was framed on Fox's The Five by Jessica Tarlov, what the recent polling actually shows, and why a single House district in the Hudson Valley has become a stand-in for the broader 2026 fight. Here's the setup. On Friday, May 22nd, President Donald Trump traveled to Suffern, New York, to headline a rally at Rockland Community College's Eugene Levy Fieldhouse. The event was organized in support of two Republicans facing tough races this year, Representative Mike Lawler, who's defending New York's 17th congressional district, and Bruce Blakeman, the party's gubernatorial candidate against Governor Kathy Hochul. The 17th is one of the most watched House seats in the country. Lawler won it by 10 points in 2022 and expanded that margin to 18 in 2024. But the district has roughly 75,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans, and it sprawls across Rockland, parts of Westchester, Dutchess, and Putnam. Lawler is also one of only 3 Republicans who held a seat in a district that Kamala Harris carried in the 2024 presidential vote. That makes him an outlier and a target. So when Trump landed in Suffern on the Friday before Memorial Day, the trip was already a political gamble. The president carried Rockland County in 2024 against Harris, but the broader district leans the other way, and tying Lawler closely to the national White House message cuts both ways. The speech itself was a campaign rally in the classic Trump format. Music, applause lines, riffs that wandered from the economy to immigration to crime in big cities. The president touted his trade record, claiming he had cut the trade deficit by 59%. He talked up construction spending. He took credit for the recent primary losses of several Republicans who had crossed him, including Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Brad Raffensperger of Georgia. He paid tribute to fallen soldiers ahead of Memorial Day and awarded a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom to Welles Crowther, the man known as the Red Bandana Firefighter, who died helping others escape the World Trade Center on September 11th. He also returned to a familiar riff, his cognitive test. The president told the Suffern crowd that no other president has taken the kind of cognitive screening he's taken. "It's a cognitive test," he said. I said, "How many presidents have taken it?" None. He claimed he had aced it on 3 separate occasions. He called himself, in his words, the smartest guy you're ever going to meet. That part of the speech is what set up the next 24 hours of cable coverage. The following segment on Fox News The Five turned the rally into the day's flashpoint. Jessica Tarlov, the show's lone liberal co-host, walked through the speech in detail. Her core argument wasn't about style. It was about the disconnect she saw between the message from the stage and what voters are telling pollsters. In her words on the show, telling people you have more money in your pockets when nobody thinks that, except the richest Americans at this point. She criticized the cognitive test references and the broader tone, calling parts of it strange. Then she pivoted to the numbers. Now, here's where it matters. Tarlov was reading from polling that had landed on Fox's own news desk just days earlier. The Fox News poll, conducted May 15th through 18th among 1,002 registered voters, put Trump's overall approval at 39%, the highest disapproval figure recorded in Fox's polling during his second term. On the economy, 29% approved and 71% disapproved. On inflation, only 24% approved. Foreign policy stood at 38 to 62. And among non-MAGA Republicans, approval on the economy was 36%, closer to independents than to the rest of the GOP base. So when Tarlov said, on Fox, that the president was struggling with white voters and rural Americans, and even pieces of his own coalition, she was citing the network's own survey, not opposition research. The segment also produced an unrelated viral moment when co-host Tyrus made a comment Tarlov took as a personal jab, prompting her to say on air, "Are you saying that about me?" That clip carried much of the social media oxygen, but the substantive argument underneath was about the gap between rally optimism and polling reality. Corpi, Block 3. C'est que disent les sondages, au-delà de Fox. Step back from the cable segment and look at the wider data, because Fox isn't an outlier this month. A New York Times/Siena College survey conducted in mid-May put strong disapproval of the president at 49%, the lowest favorability of his second term in that series. Roughly 2/3 of respondents said the war with Iran was the wrong decision. 70% disapproved of his handling of the cost of living. A CBS/YouGov poll from the same window found a majority of Americans saying the administration's policies are now actively hurting their finances, not helping. An AP NORC poll showed Republican approval of the president's economic handling falling to 63%, down from 78% at the start of the term. The through line is affordability. Inflation, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, ran at 3.8% over the past year, with a 0.6% jump in April alone. That number is the engine driving the slippage. Darren Shaw, the Republican pollster who co-runs the Fox News survey, put it plainly in the network's own write-up. Make no mistake, it's all about affordability. That's why the disconnect Tarlov flagged matters politically. When a president tells a rally crowd they have more money in their pockets, and the polling, including his own party's polling, shows voters disagreeing across the board, the message has a credibility problem before it even reaches the voters Lawler needs. Which brings us back to the room in Suffern. Lawler's pitch for years has been a careful balance. He's a Republican in a Democratic-leaning district. He's tried to brand himself as a moderate, even using the phrase moderate MAGA earlier on the day of the rally. He needs Trump's base to turn out, but he also needs the soft Republicans and conservative Democrats who made up his margin in 2024, standing on stage with the president in a district that has 75,000 more Democrats than Republicans. That balance becomes harder to maintain. The Democrats running against him are already moving. Kate Conley, one of the candidates seeking the Democratic nomination, framed the visit this way: that the president was campaigning in Rockland rather than working to lower costs for Hudson Valley families. Expect that line, or a version of it, in every mailer and every ad between now and November. The strategic question for both parties is the same. Does proximity to the president help Lawler consolidate his base in a year when GOP enthusiasm may be cooling? Or does it hand Democrats a clean attack line in a district where Harris won the presidential vote? Zoom out for a moment. The 17th district is one of a small number of seats that could decide control of the House in January 2027. The current Republican majority is thin. Districts like NY 17, where a Republican has to win voters who didn't vote for the president at the top of the ticket, are the ones strategists in both parties watch most closely. That's why a single rally and a single Fox News segment about that rally punches above its weight. It's a window into the broader argument both parties will be making for the next 6 months. Republicans will argue that the economy is fundamentally strong, that the headlines are exaggerated, and that the president's enemies in the press are amplifying every misstep. Democrats will argue that the polling reflects what voters are actually feeling at the grocery store and the gas pump, and that Republicans who stood next to the president in May will own those numbers in November. And then there's a quieter dynamic worth naming. The most cited critique of the president this week came from a host on Fox News, citing a Fox News poll on a show watched by the president's own base. That kind of intramural friction has happened before in Trump-era politics, but the volume has changed. When non-MAGA Republican approval on the economy sits at 36%, closer to independents than to MAGA voters, the coalition isn't fracturing, but it's audibly creaking. So here's the question worth sitting with. If a Republican congressman in a swing district can't run away from the president and can't fully run with him either, what does a winning closing message look like in November? Drop your read in the comments. If you want more breakdowns like this one, the polling underneath the cable noise, the strategy underneath the speech, subscribe and turn on notifications so the next report lands when it drops.